Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. Dogbo333, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4 Kaiserreich as the Kingdom of Nepal. Now, last time we were here together, well, the People's Republic down here in Calcutta is trying to overthrow our Prime Minister. And we don't hate that, but we don't like exactly how they want to do that. So, we are going to try and counteract that if we can. The best we can. So, we're currently back in conspiracy, which is going to give some more strength to the rebels over here, and we just have to keep these numbers within 20 points of each other. As soon as it goes over 25, then they'll get the sneak on us, and we won't be able to do what we want to do. So, let's go ahead and get going, shall we? I got my timer kicking off right now. Let's roll. Let's roll and let's rock. Back in the Darjeeling conspiracy. And I think what we're going to do right now... we're going to go ahead... let's start off with establishing contacts within the army. Balance out the influence that the Bharatiya have. With the army, while the army answers to the Prime Minister like the rest of the government, the Nepalese army is not totally lost cause. Many surely resent the rule of the Ranas or hold loyalty to the hostage King Tribhuvan. By making contact with these forward-thinking patriots within the army, we can pave the way for the fall of the Ranas. Okay, interesting. Recent rumblings in the palace have caused major worry among the Prime Minister's closest advisors, as General Giri Prasad Brathoki has been arranging an unusually large number of private meetings with the king over the past few weeks. Despite the general's important role as one of the few commanding officers in Nepal to have seen combat, having fought the British Indian Army in the Indian Revolution, his subsequent disillusionment with them saw his return to Nepal has often left many wondering if he holds any revolutionary sympathies. While no one but the king and the man himself know what has been said in these meetings, there is great suspicion that the general has potentially been compromised by the rebels. He is now attempting to wrangle the king into the plot as well. If these rumors are true, and the rebels have the backing of key generals, then all steps must be taken to stop their influence growing any further. It would, however, be impossible to take action against the general just based off rumors without possibly making things worse, but unofficially blocking him from any future meetings would be a reasonable course of action. We must also keep in mind that we are operating entirely off hearsay. The man could be completely innocent, and shutting him off could cause unneeded friction for little benefit. Well, we shouldn't be overreacting to such rumors. We are going to counteract the Republic's dominance, though. It seems we can knock that down a little bit. Which I already believe. Yeah, we're going to gain that influence back anyway. And we want to keep it somewhat balanced. There's a failed coup in Beijing. Interesting. Yeah, the Beijing government now. Revolutionaries are taking Mongolia. Checks out. I don't know if... yeah, well, next we're going to rush down to here, I think. Ooh. For once, the Prime Minister's been able to wake to good news about the rebels, as waves of arrests have been carried out in the city of Pokhara by those attempting to distribute Parashad pamphlets. Until now, the rebels have primarily been operating in areas around Kathmandu and the region in its east, and as such, this is clearly an attempt to begin expanding their insurrection to the rest of the nation. Fortunately for us, however, a group of strange men arriving in an unfamiliar city, attempted to hand out pieces of paper, is the type of action that will make any locals suspicious. Very quickly, these rebels found themselves handed in and arrested, or if they're lucky, perhaps they will simply sit in a cell for the rest of their lives, or until a hangman is available, if not. Another batch of rebels dealt with. We did it, Patrick. We saved the city. Alright, let's get some more mechanical computing going, because we need more tech, my god. Okay, we got contacts within the army. I think we can go ahead. Let's get a little music going. I haven't had music playing in a lot of my videos, I realize. A little music will be nice, I think. Yeah. Alright. So, let's go ahead and start defending... Actually, let's limit the spread of propaganda. I think that's going to be the most immediate benefit we should do. It seems a day does not go by where some newspaper from Lahore or Calcutta is distributed in Kathmandu, or a man with a Punjabi or Bengali accent begins to spread rumors about to all those who listen. These rather obvious attempts to sway Nepal must not be tolerated. We will crack down upon it at every opportunity. Democratic restoration in Russia. Interesting. How are we looking right now? Because we've had a couple. Okay. The ongoing rebellion has left many in government with an extreme state of tension. I'm going to turn the music down a little more. There we go. Anyway, the ongoing rebellion has left many in government in an extreme state of tension, a state which one could possibly call paranoia, as long as they're out of earshot of the Prime Minister when they say it. While previously any rebellion against the state would be crushed before it even became a concern, the Indian backing of this one has made it a genuine threat, and as government paranoia continues to multiply, the fears of how far-reaching their conspiracy could truly have similarly multiplied. The recent private talks between the king and General Purathoki have laid the seed in people's minds that any part of Nepali state can be compromised, especially the army. If the army is compromised, then stopping any revolution may become impossible. In hopes of dissuading these fears, however, it's been suggested that proactive measures be taken to keep the army on side or win them back if they've already been compromised. A few years later, the Army Provident Fund was set up as a pension scheme for soldiers, where soldiers pay a percentage of their salary into the pension fund to ensure they are still provided for post-retirement. This scheme has already done wonders for the public image of the Ranas among the armed forces already, but it has been suggested that perhaps a further expansion of the scheme with a direct contribution from the state's treasuries to the final pension payouts could be just what is needed to cement their loyalties even further. These bribes are not worth the cost. Yes, grow. So currently the army may intervene to prevent the anarchy, which I am all for. Uh-oh. It seems that the amount of guards deployed to the border after the smuggling incident was nowhere near enough. Today, a raid from the armory in Burgunj was carried out by the Mutki Sena men arriving from the Republic. two guards at the armory who attempted to stop the raid, finding themselves shot to death by the brigands. The army stockpiled rifles seized, and these rebels getting away unscathed as far as the reports can verify. While these guns were primarily just Gondera rifles that had been phased out and permanently stored away, as is government policy on old equipment, they are likely going to find a use in future raids against us. The overall situation is a great embarrassment all around. Find those men immediately. Let's get... I don't know if we should give this guy a promotion, because he might be out of here shortly, actually. We will hold tight on that. Okay, we've limited the spread of propaganda. And let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and counteract the Republic's dominance, because they're catching up quite a bit. I don't think I like that. Let's request restraint by all factions next. Although the current situation is far from perfect, the situation in Nepal will almost certainly get even worse if the Mukhi Sena escalate their revolution, or the Ranas get harsher in their attempted crackdown. We cannot afford as a nation to be mired in bloodshed, and we must plead for the restraint, even if it falls often on deaf ears. Ooh, they're picking up, though. The RT is going hard right now. I think the more we do this, and the more political power it costs, it would appear. Though I think we get that political power back. Let's counteract their dominance. Let's test and find out. Attempted mass suicide, Jesus. Or, sorry, this is, Vishnu? Is that more thematically appropriate? Is that offensive? I don't... It might be. We'll just move on. Despite the high-profile nature of the actions by the Mukhi Sena against the government, it is important to not forget that they are not the sole threat against the Prime Minister. Nor the like-minded groups are liable to conduct their own forms of treason against Nepal. In recent years, a group primarily of women, led by one of the few female ascetics in Nepal, Yogmaya Nupane, has slowly become a thorn in the side of the government. While at first Nupane was seen as a more tolerable form of opposition, primarily just pushing the Prime Minister for reform through an appeal to Hinduism that could be placated with token concessions, she has become much more openly hostile to the state rather than simply the systems within it. Over the past few months, ever since our fight against the Mukhi Sena began to escalate, she's gotten more and more bold with her demands, threatening to self-immolate herself to spark revolt against the regime. These were clearly not empty threats, as today her followers attempted to see through to the threat, only being stopped by guards sent personally by the Prime Minister moments before the pyre was lit. Dozens of women, along with just under a dozen men, were arrested for taking part in this incident. The men shipped off to a jail in Dankuta, and the women in prison in the Radhashrishna temple. While the men who took part in the incident are likely to remain behind bars for a long time for their treason against us, the fate of the women is not so cut and dry. The temple they are being kept in is unlikely to be suitable for long-term detainment, but they're nowhere else suitable to keep them, and keeping women in prison for potential years upon end is a bad look no matter how treasonous they may be. It has been suggested, therefore, that we simply let them go after a few days and keep a close watch to prevent any future incidents. There is however, no guarantee that they won't find alternative measures to frustrate the state once they are free again, and as such it may be worth keeping them locked up as long as we can instead. And give them a few years behind bars. That'll put them in their place. These women. Okay, so we have 3 days. Okay, so we don't get our political power back. You know, that makes sense. It says when aborted, you get it back. I guess that means if this passes over. Alright, next up, let's go ahead and work on defending our sovereignty. Takes 10 points away from both sides. It's shameful that Nepal is being fought over as though it were simply a toy of great powers, rather than a proud nation in its own right. No one shall decide the politics of Nepal but Nepal itself, and we must prevent all outside attempts to influence things in our favor, in favor of either side of this conflict, if we do not wish to become a mere puppet state. See, that's something I can get behind. We have a conflict in China. We have elections in Russia now as well. Oh, Savinkov's dead. Shit, I didn't realize that. While Nepal recognizes only one great king, His Majesty Tribhuvan, who rules over all the lands in Nepal, many of the petty kingdoms that united under Prithvi Narayan Shah's banner still operate as vassals in the realm to this day. The Prime Minister himself, along with his predecessors, is styled as the Maharaja of both Kashi and Lamjung, having been granted these titles upon the establishment of the dynasty's rule. Of these kingdoms, however, none has been as troublesome in recent years than Bajang and its former Raya Jaya Prithvi Bahadur Singh. As Raja, Singh found himself constantly bouncing between ally of the state and enemy of it, rising initially to prominence during the short reign of Dev Shumsher Rana as the nation's strongest advocate of education reform, and as such he was being forced into exile when Dev was ousted for his reformism. While he would later reconcile with new Prime Minister Chandra Shumsher Rana, his opposition to support for the British in the Great War led to a second round of exile, self-imposed this time in India. When the revolution in India kicked off, he began to support the war effort through providing medical care for the Republic's wounded, and his humanist and reformist views have seen him become a notable figure amongst Calcutta's political moderates. Operating now from Calcutta itself and objecting to the apparent brutality of the Prime Minister in recent months, Singh has held a speech calling for an end to Rana rule and for Nepali freedom. This speech, having allegedly been arranged by the government figures in the Republic, is unlikely to have any direct impact on the Mukti Sena, but having such a noble figure come out against us is certainly a poor look. If news of his speech spreads to Nepal, it could potentially cause quite a bit of reputational damage, necessitating a censorship campaign, although the cost of carrying it out may not be worth the hassle of how little influence he has over Nepal these days, even Bajhang itself. Nature will deal with this insolent old man soon enough. Just let him go. Alright, we got more construction going. Should probably do machine tools. Yeah, we'll do basic machine tools. Which path did Russia go down? Oh, Social Democratic, okay. And there goes the Belgrade Pact. Interesting, interesting. Uh-oh. Even with the constant attacks against Nepal's state, few could have expected the Mukti Sena to go so low. To stoop as low as they have gone today. While on his way home today, the great war hero Baber Shumsher Rana has had a bomb thrown towards his doorway in an attempt on the man's life. Although the bomb failed to detonate, one of the would-be assassins pulled out a pistol and fired at Baber, hitting him at least twice. Leaving the general for dead, these men tried to flee the scene, but were thankfully shot dead by soldiers responding to the gunshots. Baber himself, while gravely injured, has fortunately survived, and soldiers have been stationed throughout Kathmandu to protect all notable members of the Rana dynasty from further murder attempts. Enraged by this act of barbarism, the Prime Minister has declared that the government will stop at nothing to exterminate this rebellion, making clear that no clemency will be granted to any rebel, and that soon all of them will meet the same fate they attempted to inflict upon Baber. They've gone too far this time. Yeah, let's relax the Republic's strength over there. defending our sovereignty. Now let's put faith in Her Majesty. His Majesty, excuse me. If there is one beacon of stability Nepal still has in its tumultuous time, it is His Majesty King Tribhuvan Shah. And even if his nation is hit by the chaos, we must have faith that the King's guidance will see us through to a brighter light. So we'll get rid of the socialist and liberal support, instead get the authoritarian Democrats getting a ton more support for however long this ends up keep going. This goes on. I can speak. I can totally speak. Let's see. We have... Let's sow dissent in the government's ranks. Just in case the Dominion tries anything funky. Well, it seems that the assassination attempt against Babur was simply the first shot of the revolution, as the Dominion's agents have reported to us with slow gathering Calcutta trained troops across the country's border. Throughout Nepal itself, whispers of armed men moving swiftly in the dead of night are commonplace, with the army being ordered to begin to prepare for the wars. Nepal's future is at stake. Conspirators will make their move in 30 days, firmly establishing the fate of Nepal's future one way or another. Well, they're gonna find us. They're gonna get us. So, yeah, we'll have this focus done by then. And we'll probably just get working on one of these next. Probably acquiring Indian support. Surplus, rather. How are we doing over here? Okay, we have 7 days. Okay, so they're exactly even, so we're gonna be okay. In the meanwhile, let's work on let's start going on acquiring the Indian surplus. The conflict for India has proliferated significant stocks of excess military equipment, and it is vital that we acquire as much as we are able to. What is surplus for others may be the difference between defeat and survival for Nepal. Well, there we go. Is that the Jaws theme? No, it's not Jaws. Okay. And there we go. At a meeting with the king a few days ago in preparation for the uprising, Parashad leader Tanka Prasad Acharya made a request to Tribhuvan to openly back the revolution against the Ranas in hope of avoiding bloody fighting between the armed forces and the rebels. Fearing that Mukti Sena were too weak to take power, the king refused his request, hoping that they would simply delay the revolution until a more suitable time. In what is retrospectively poorly timed judged move, however, the Mukti Sena still launched their uprising regardless. What has followed have been bloody battles across the nation, with cities like Burgunj following quickly the rebels before being retaken by government troops in a deadly firefight. No fighting has been as destructive as that in Kathmandu, however, while the primary forces of the Mukti Sena found themselves fighting troops commanded by Judah Rana himself. Despite his troops having the advantage, the Prime Minister was felled by a stray shot while driving rebel troops out of the western stretches of the capital, sending chaos throughout the ranks. Even now rudderless, the Rana troops still seem set to slowly push the Mukti Sena out of the city, but likely at high cost. Calls are coming from both sides of conflict, calling for the king to step in and save the nation. The king must save us. And save us he shall. The end to this brutal conflict came not through further death, but through the marching of the sovereign down the streets of Kathmandu, accompanied by the countless army officers who have always remained steadfastly loyal to the king. Subarna Shumsher Rana, leader of the Parshad section of the Mutki Sena, Kungwar Singh is leader of the LSP, and Kaiser Shumsher Rana, as acting leader of the government, came forward as representatives of their sides to meet with the king shortly after his arrival. While both sides were in mutual agreement that the fighting had to end, neither were willing to simply surrender the other. Ultimately, however, a compromise would be reached between the Parshad and the Ranas, agreeing to the formation of a government led chiefly by Tribhuvan himself. As part of this agreement, the role of Prime Minister would be first granted to the more moderate Parshad member, Matrika Prasad Koirala, rather than Acharya, and loyalist members of the Rana dynasty would be granted ministerial roles for the sake of stability. Chiefly, Nepal would also declare official neutrality in the Indian conflict, breaking fully with both the Dominion and the Republic's attempts to influence it. Not all were willing to accept this deal, however, the LSP objecting strongly to this neutrality proposal, while also not missing that they would be excluded from the government under it. After the Parshad made clear that they would be willing to accept the compromise, LSP leaders stormed out of the meeting, although with little risk of further conflict erupting as a Mukti Sena as a whole seems to have fallen in line behind the accord. For now, at least, Nepal finds itself at peace, led by its restored sovereign. All hail His Majesty. Oh, it's beautiful. Our ruler, glorious. A 100 years of usurpation has been brought to an end by the hand of our glorious King Tribhuvan, transforming the Dominion and Republic's attempts to turn Nepal into a weapon against the other into a powerful tool to gain the support of the elements of both the Mutki Sena and the Rana government. The king is once more at the forefront of Nepal's politics and government. It's beautiful. I think I'm going to cancel this real quick. I haven't done that for focus in a good long while. Let's rush down and do His Majesty's loyal government first, because I want to get rid of the radical socialist support. Social liberals I don't mind as much, all things considered, but yeah, want to get that sorted away. Yeah, okay. What else do we got? We can build a pretty grand coalition, it seems. That's pretty nice. Anyway, His Majesty's loyal government. With the king's restoration, Nepal now stands as truly independent, not under the iron fist of a corrupt Rana tyrant who bends the knee to the British, nor under radical socialists beholden to the government in Calcutta, but truly its own country. Must move quickly to take advantage of a situation, establish a government loyal to the king and his designs for the country. That I am down for. Chinese revolution's been defeated. China has capitulated. Although vital to the peace process, the declaration of full neutrality on Indian matters by the king was certainly a gamble. The strong investment by both the Dominion and the Republic in influencing our politics left the real possibility that one or the other would not accept such an outcome, would simply send in their troops and directly install a loyalist regime. It seems now, though, that the gambit has paid off, as although certainly outraged, both Indian governments are seemingly willing to accept the new status quo, seeing an outcome where Nepal doesn't fall to their enemies as good enough. With no immediate threat of invasion or further influence in the nation's politics, the new government should have ample opportunity to now focus inward on healing the national divide. We can all breathe a sigh of relief. Alright, so we have this guy now. Matrika Prasad Koirala. Okay. We could appoint a new cabinet member. I'll go with Bharat Mani Sharma, our agricultural economist. Put him in there. Seems like a ripe bloke. Oh, Sweden's joined the Reich. HoI longest president. That's interesting. Sweden's joined the Reich Pact. And there goes the Fourth Balkan War. Very interesting. Could do an industrial concern as well. What do we want to do, though? I think we'll hold tight on doing anything there for now. Yeah, we'll hang tight. Boom, 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 boom. That will explain why Sweden joined the Reich Pact. Okay, that's interesting. Alright, what do we want to do next? We could rush down into the surplus while we're here. Launch Operation Thunder. Oh, so these are all different focuses that one or the other have to do. Understood. Okay. We'll start working on the Indian surplus again, because we, yeah, we need all the extra guns. Plus getting that, tech bonus for... Where did our Field Marshal go? We need a Field Marshal now. Might just have... We have to go down here to get a Field Marshal, it seems, which I suppose that's fair enough. So rush down here, we get a focus tree research slot. Down here we'll get... If we rush down this, the corruption modifier will go away. That's an interesting way to do it, actually. I like that. Interesting. Okay. Alright. We might want to focus on this next. I mean, civilian economy is going to be way better anyway. Yeah, okay. Meanwhile, we also have some general infrastructure stuff. Okay. Interesting. And that gives us another research slot if we go down there. Interesting. Okay. This also gives us cores. We have a lot of stuff we got to consider, and the sad time is we don't have time to consider it right now anymore, because I have to leave it here. Thank you as always for watching, my friends. Like this video if you liked, dislike if you didn't, leaving comments or feedback down in the comment section below. I read all the comments again, and I do appreciate any feedback you might have for me. Check out my various links down in the description box below. Leaving comments or feedback down in the comment section below. I read all the comments again. I do appreciate any feedback you might have for me. Check out, I already said that. If you want to keep up to date with these uploads as they come out, hit the sub button and the notification bell to keep up to date with these uploads as they come out. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and leave things there, but as always, I thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye now.